Inflation is burning your savings, so deploying your capital has never been more important than it is right now, but only if you...
When you've got some capital, you've got an opportunity that most people don't, the chance to build a real, scalable asset, but you have to...
And it's those people who've built a scalable asset that gives them the greatest return.
This might just be the smartest way to turn your capital into a growing, cash-flowing asset that you control.
When done right, it's one of the best capital investments you can make, but only if you... Welcome to the Dropship Unlocked podcast. I'm Lewis Smith, the founder of Dropship Unlocked, and with me is our client success coach, James Eardley. Now, when we're not recording podcast episodes or running our own e-commerce businesses, you'll find us helping aspiring entrepreneurs launch their own high-ticket dropshipping stores. So if you're ready to build your own 6 or even 7-figure online business, then head over to dropshipunlocked.com/start. Now, sit back, relax, and let's unlock your potential with the Dropship Unlocked podcast.
If you are sitting on some savings, perhaps you've been through an exit event or you've got a severance package, or there's been a big business payout, and you're wondering how to turn that capital into something that actually works for you, then this episode is for you. Today, we're going to be talking about how to build a scalable online asset, not just a job for yourself, and how to stop letting your cash burn in low yield accounts or risky gambles. So, Lewis, let's kick things off then, because a lot of people see this starting a business malarkey as a bit risky. Okay, and if someone's sitting on 10 to 50k in capital, why do you actually think that starting this type of e-commerce business is actually one of the smartest places to deploy it?
Yeah, it's a great question. And I think there's never been a more timely moment to discuss this kind of topic. You know, we're seeing headlines in the news at the moment of huge corporates laying off more and more people than we've ever seen, like huge tens of thousands of people literally being made redundant, being told that their jobs no longer exist. You know, and these are big companies like Amazon and PwC, like huge consultancy firms. It's only going one way, isn't it? With automation, with AI, it's becoming so much more valuable to take control of your own income and build a skill set and a system and an asset that can generate you that income without it being contingent or reliant upon a job and a boss to be paying you a nice, comfortable monthly salary, because it's only comfortable until it stops being paid. And then suddenly you're out there on your own. So I think the time to be figuring this out is possibly even before you're in that situation, but certainly if you're in that situation now, we've seen many people go through this. So I guess the way to think of this, our model of UK-based e-commerce businesses is very low risk. It's de-risked in the sense, or in comparison to other models. So with this model, you own the asset from day one. So it's a real UK company. It's your brand that you're building. It's your margins that you dictate, and it's real customer data that you own. So it's not rented traffic. It's not affiliates. It's not like Amazon where they don't give you the customer list and the customer information, and it's all very much on their platform and they can kind of kick you off whenever they'd like to. With this, you own the business. The other thing with this is that it's not hugely capital intensive. It's not like you have to pour tens of thousands of pounds into buying a container's worth of stock and then hoping that it sells and leasing a physical premises. The cash flow with this kind of model begins within a matter of weeks. It's not taking years to get to revenue generation stage. You know, you're not waiting for product development or people to download and install your app, or developers or suppliers, getting your products created. The type of suppliers and the type of products that we sell, they're ready. They're already in demand. They're selling. And so you come in and sell those high margin products straight away and your cash flow begins immediately. I mean, Shopify takes, a few days to pay out that capital. And then you can use that to purchase the items from suppliers. And the whole thing is cash flow positive from the beginning. So you get to control that growth. You get to own the data. You're building an asset. And so it's very much within your control. And I think that's really important, especially if you've been in the situation where you thought you were in control, maybe in a job, and then you found out I'm being made redundant, or, I've been told my job no longer exists. And so You don't want to be in that situation again. You don't want to build a business only to find out in 2 years' time it all kind of gets wiped out again. You really want that control and that autonomy. And so with our home turf advantage model, we teach you how to watch things like your return on ad spend and your average order value. These metrics that are so important, your cost to acquire a customer, those those metrics, those stats, you can watch them like a hawk, and then you just scale up as and when you're profitable.
Yeah, so it's all backed on data, the decisions we make to go into the business in the first place. And that's one of the many reasons that I went for high ticket e-commerce when I first came across yourself, Lewis, and Dropship Unlocked, because I like the idea of the de-risk model, because it was already a proven path for me to deploy the savings that I put together into a business plan that had been done, proven multiple times by people in a similar situation to myself. It wasn't like these crypto things that you see online or some sketchy dropshipping TikTok Chinese supplier play that you see online that really isn't a legit brand that you're going to build for the long term. So if anyone's listening and they want a really in-depth dive into how we do all this, then we have done other episodes about how we choose products that sell straight away. And that was episode 143, a few episodes back. But in this episode, I want to dive into why specifically, Lewis, it's an asset that we're building, because people with capital put to one side, they want to invest that into assets, not just liabilities. So why specifically is this high ticket e-commerce model an online asset, and why is it so powerful?
Absolutely, yeah. I think it comes down to long-term leverage that you're building. So it's not just a short-term hustle where you're trying to make a bit of quick cash flow. This, don't get me wrong, it can be very profitable and create cash flow very quickly. But we've got one eye on the longer journey here with this business. And so there's a few things that I think, to answer your question, make this a true asset in the definition of the term. So first is it generates you cash flow whilst also building equity. So you're also building a brand that is creating asset value that one day you could decide, I'm going to now sell that business as a contained kind of offer bundle to a investor who then purchases that business. And then you would get a lump sum, just like you would for selling any business. The nice thing about it is that it pays you monthly though through the sales that you're getting. So over time, you're earning every month from it. And then eventually you can also sell the asset as a profitable business. A lot of businesses, you'll find it's almost one or the other. You know, a business might not be revenue generating, or it might be loss making or whatever. And then you kind of hope that some investor will one day come and acquire you. And then that's where you realize the liquidity and release the equity from the business by selling it. And that's when you get your money. But actually this does both, which is really nice. And it's replicable as well. You know, it's not like these are unicorn e-commerce brands where we're hoping that, one in 100,000 will get picked by some venture capital firm to like come in and fund us. And like, we have to be the next Uber, or, it's not like that. It's like these are being purchased by investors, maybe a few £100,000 every day all around the world, so that they're not rare events. Once you've learned how to build one as well, no one can take those skills away from you. You just do it again. So that's the thing. Once you've learned how to build one of these businesses, you can just rinse and repeat and do it again. Or maybe you can use the income coming in from one of your businesses to then buy and acquire other businesses like this. And then you add your skills to it, make it better, make it more profitable, add more suppliers, improve the ads. And suddenly you're creating this little portfolio. So talking about de-risking and diversification of your income, imagine you had three, four different stores, all in different niches, all that generate you income. That has ruled out the risk of like someone coming along and making you redundant, because even if one of those businesses for some reason failed, you've then got two others, and you've got the skills that you used to create them in the first place. So you can go out there into the world and build another business. Or if for some reason you don't want to do that and you want to go back to the world of employment and say, actually, I'd rather have a salary, you go to one of many hundreds of thousands of e-commerce companies out there and say, I'm skilled in ads, email marketing, supplier negotiations, website optimization. Like, all the skills you learn through the process of doing this are also like career development skills, as well as valuable skills for you as an entrepreneur. So I think That's why it's so valuable. It's because it creates options for you. You can scale it up, you can sell it, you can hand it off to a virtual assistant, like I know we do, or you can use the skills to rinse and repeat, do the same thing again, or use those in the world of employment. It's so freeing. It gives you so much control, while you can then focus on investing your time and your finances elsewhere, like property or stocks or other businesses. But this becomes your kind of golden goose. It's the cash flow generating machine.
Which is super exciting, especially in today's climate where, as you say, Lewis, more and more people are feeling the risk of having a job because jobs aren't as secure perhaps as they once were, or if they've been through an exit event and they've retired and they've got some cash, they're now thinking about what options do I have with that cash and how can I put it into something that isn't going to be as risky as the previous situation. And something that's always going to be de-risked is investing in yourself and the skills that you have. And certainly in my journey, as soon as I learned the skill of building an e-commerce business and running ads and generating traffic to a website, selling, signing suppliers, opportunities came to me so I could build a second store with a business partner. And more opportunities open up when you develop yourself and learn these skills about how to sell online. It's really fundamental in today's day and age. I think it's only going to increase how important that is as well. And also investing in a scalable online asset, like building your own e-commerce business. It's the rich dad model, right? From the famous personal finance book by Robert Kiyosaki, The Rich Dad versus Poor Dad. And that book teaches us all about when you've got some cash, it's all about buying assets rather than buying liabilities, and buying assets specifically that cash flow until you can live off the cash flow from the assets. And you're also building wealth over time in that those assets are going to increase in value over time. And so that's what we're buying here with an e-commerce business. We're buying the skills that we'll learn to generate the business for ourselves. We've got 100% ownership over that business that grows in equity over time and grows in cash flow as you develop the business and scale it over time as well. So it really is a beautiful model to deploy capital into it and scale. And I'm so glad I came across Dropship Unlocked a few years ago to build my own version of this. And I've now got 2 cash flowing stores that pay me every month and grow in value if I wanted to sell them one day. So perhaps somebody then is sold by the model. They can see the vision clearly and they think this is going to be a really interesting opportunity to deploy my capital, but they don't quite know what it actually entails or where they would start. So what would you say to them, Lewis? How do they start if they want to move fast but not break anything or take any risks?
Yeah, so we have helped so many people in that exact situation. So the way we structure it is very streamlined, it's fast, focused, like we can minimize the risk as much as possible. And the way we initially get things off the ground for you is with think of it like a 6-week execution plan. So week by week, we've got milestones. It's like niche selection, signing suppliers, getting your website up and running ads to it, no fluff, really building the business very, very kind of minimally at first to the point of generating cash flow so that later we can come back and invest a bit more time and maybe use some of the cash that it's kicking off to then reinvest back into that business to make it better and better as we go. The other thing is it's very driven by numbers. It's KPI linked. So it's like we're looking along the process of building this at what's our average order value? What's our return on ad spend? Is that good enough? Does that meet our profitability goals? What's our store's conversion rate? Is that okay? How do we improve it? How do we double it and therefore double our revenue and double our profit? So you'll know if things are working because you'll be able to see these indicators as you go through the process. And anything that's not, we've got modules in the program on how to fix that thing. And you can just jump on a call with us and chat with us and we can help you through that process. We're trying to give you leverage as well. This is the whole goal here. We're trying to show you how to get to the point where you can hire your first VA as soon as you've got proof of concept so that you don't get trapped into running the business like it's another job for you. That's the key. It's not about pouring your time into this and being like, well, I could just replace what I do all day with replacing my own company and spending all my time there instead. Really what you've done there is just create another job for yourself, except that it's just that now you're the boss and the employee. Eventually, if you want leverage and you want, like we said, multiple of these, or you want to really scale it up, the key is about zooming out and putting your CEO hat on, your company founder hat, and thinking, what would the chief executive of a big company like this do? Would they be the one that's like on the phone scrambling to fulfill orders, dealing with customer service, live chats all the time? Probably not, right? They would be putting in place a team looking at what can they do to double the business, what phone calls, conversations, things can they implement that double or triple the revenue over the next year. And that's probably not going to be answering live chats and things like that. So there's nothing wrong with that at the beginning, but we're trying to build systems in place and give you leverage from day one.
Yes, and it's that leverage that really allows you to go to the scale that people want to get to. We've seen people build multiple stores once they've got the first skill of how to build the first one. And we've seen people do work for their suppliers once they've got the skills of running ads and web development. Opening up so many doors once you go into this line of work for opportunities, building equity and cash flowing assets. So what is the precise first step for somebody if they're keen to get started today?
Yeah, well, if you are listening to us right now and you're ready to go from having idle capital sitting in a low interest account and you're thinking, I really want to build a scalable online asset that gives me that freedom, that cash flow, that future asset value and that control, then the best place to start is head over to dropshipunlocked.com/start. Now there you can access the full roadmap that we talked about today. There's a short video. You can watch that video, book in a call if it sounds like something you want to do, and we'll have a chat with you through the options and speak to you about getting started. I think it comes down to thinking, like, if you feel fundamentally like the capital that you've worked your life to build, if you feel like that deserves better than just sitting in a savings account, in 6 weeks from now, you could have a store built, you could have suppliers in place, you could have ads running, and you could have sales coming in, even if you've never touched anything to do with e-commerce before, like so many of our successful members hadn't. They had no experience in this world. So don't feel like that's a prerequisite. But it all starts with taking action. And it all starts really with heading over to dropshipunlocked.com/start.
Are you enjoying the podcast? We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment or a review and we might feature it in an upcoming episode. And for detailed show notes and resources, visit dropshipunlocked.com/podcast.
If you found value in any episode of this podcast, please could you take just 10 seconds to leave us a quick 5-star review on your favorite podcast app? It helps us more than you can imagine. And who knows, you might just hear your comments read out on the show. Thanks for being a part of our community. Your support helps us keep delivering new episodes to you every week.
Now, it's that part of the episode where we're going to answer a question that's come in from a listener. So if any questions have come up while you've been listening or watching today, then simply comment beneath the YouTube video version of this episode. And not only will it be answered in the comments, we'll also pull it out and potentially feature it on an upcoming episode. So this week's question is in from Tushar, and they have asked, "Hi, can I get some ideas of what you have used as your limited company name, please?"
Thanks for the question, Tushar. And it's a really common one, actually. This is something we hear a lot. And it actually ties into the reason why we recommend setting up a limited company when you start your e-commerce business at the very beginning. Is because it helps you build credibility with high quality UK suppliers when you approach them and reach out to them. If you can say, here's our limited company name, it just kind of ticks that box of like, oh, okay, this is not an individual operating out of their garage at home. Like, this is a real legitimate company, even if you are operating out of your garage. And then when it comes to actually naming your company, most members go for something pretty neutral and flexible so that later on you can choose to apply that to any niche that you might want to sell it. So for example, you might add your surname and then like e-commerce or group. Like I could call mine Smith Trading Group Limited or something like that, or James, you could call yours JE Trading Limited, right? It's very kind of open, broad, generic, limited company name. Remember, what your limited company name is and what you trade as, or your trading name, can be totally separate. And actually, you can have multiple trading names that sit within a single limited company as well. So the goal really at the beginning is just to make it sound professional and broad. Don't tie yourself into any one niche. You don't need to have even decided which niche you're going to operate in before you get started. And you don't need to have decided on your product line. In fact, we have a partnership with a service that can get you up and running faster and significantly cheaper than if you go to Companies House and register your company as well, plus get a free business bank account added in. So if you go to dropshipunlocked.com/company, there you can get your limited company set up, your business bank account running, and you will be ready to go within minutes.
Awesome. Yeah, great question. And it's the exciting part of the process when you get your company set up. And yeah, you can really see scale from there. So keep us posted with your progress. Now, we're going to highlight a recent review that we've had for the podcast as well, because again, we love to shout you out. If you say something nice about the podcast, we really appreciate it. So we're going to feature you on an upcoming episode. So today we're going to feature Mark Smith, and he has left us a very kind review. He's simply said, awesome content.
And that is all that needed to be said, Mark. We really appreciate it. Man, a few words, but very powerful words at that. So thank you very much for your review, Mark. It means a huge amount to us. Now, before we end today's episode, if we could ask a really small favor of you, leaving a review for our podcast helps us so much more than you might realize, and it only takes you a few seconds to do. Your support just keeps us motivated to keep showing up and keep trying to bring you the best content that we can. So we'd love to hear what you think, and we might even be able to share your review in our upcoming episode. So please click to leave us a review for the podcast today.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Dropship Unlocked podcast. We hope you are leaving with new insights and inspiration to fuel your entrepreneurial journey.
To kickstart your e-commerce business, head over to dropshipunlocked.com/start. It's the perfect place to start and get access to resources that will help you build your business from the ground up.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more episodes packed with strategies, tips, and success stories. Plus, if you enjoyed this episode today, a 5-star review would mean the world to us, and you might even get a shout out on the next episode.
Thank you for choosing to spend your time with us today. We can't wait to bring you more insights on the next episode of the Dropship Unlocked podcast.